Curry sauce all over your ears. Doctor Who. Who is he? We don't know. I haven't really written anything down for this one. I just want to talk about some Doctor Who things I think about sometimes. Number one, you know in the ending of Series 8 where Missy turns everyone into Cybermen? Sometimes I like to think about all the people that would have been Cybermen, like Amy and Rory and maybe Bill's mum, but I think the one that sticks with me the most is the fact that... So you know how Bin Laden never actually got cremated because the American government didn't want to disrespect his religion? So there's a chance he could still be out there as a Cyberman. We don't know. Just remember, every time you see a Cyberman now, it could be Bin Laden. Who knows if he actually blew himself up? Well, I mean, that's a very Bin Laden thing to do. The second thing I think about sometimes is how the Doctors meet each other and say,
I won't remember this, will I?
The time streams are out of sync. You can't retain it. No.
But it's not really clear when they forget things. Like, the first Doctor remembers the second Doctor and the five Doctors.
What's happened to the little fellow?
You don't imagine anything you two can do would stump me, do you?
But then the War Doctor also says, I won't remember any of this, and then immediately regenerates afterwards. So I assume that they forget when they actually regenerate, and then that regeneration has no recollection of meeting their future selves, which means that for David Tennant's last few episodes at the end of time, he did remember saving Gallifrey. And, you know, that would be fine if that was the case, but I'm not entirely sure it is, because we see in Day of the Doctor, the younger Paul McGann, the one with the long hair, was actually part of the Doctor team to save Gallifrey, which means he'd remember how the Time War ended, even though it hasn't actually started for him yet. But it started while he was the 8th Doctor, so he'd already remember how it ends. Another implication of this as well is that it would kind of mean that all the Doctors who did save Gallifrey must have been at the end of their lifetime and about to regenerate, otherwise they'd remember it and maybe talk about it, which seems off. Like, the 9th Doctor was haunted by the memories of destroying Gallifrey, so it'd be weird if for most of his run he remembered...
Are you capable of speaking without flapping your hands about?
Yes. No. Another thing I think about is the Timeless Child. Well, I mean, it's obviously not canon, and none of us are going to talk about it like it's canon. But I more just think about how they're eventually going to undo it. And I don't mean undo the lore implications of it, like the Doctor not being from Gallifrey. I don't think they'll undo that. Because even though it's poorly received, the BBC's never actually retconned anything that was poorly received. Like, if that was the case, Paul McGann wouldn't be a canon version of the Doctor. And they also canonicized Richard E. Grant becoming the Doctor in that one Shoozy episode. So what I eventually think is going to happen is that there's going to be some storyline where maybe at this point the 14th and 15th Doctor have reassembled, or maybe one of them sacrifices themselves, maybe 14 sacrifices himself, or something, I don't really know. But what I think is going to end up happening is something along the lines of, like, the Doctor using up all their infinite regenerations to bring back Gallifrey and all the Time Lords and restore it and make everything better again. Similar to how we did in the Peter Capaldi episode with the Daleks, where he used regeneration energy to bring all the Daleks back, including the ones in the sewers. So I assume it will be something similar like that, but with the Time Lords instead. And then that will also cost him all his infinite regenerations, meaning he's back down to, like, 8 or whatever he'd be on now. And that would mean there's actually stakes again, since he doesn't have an infinite number of regenerations, meaning that at some point he is going to die. And then from there, I imagine they probably won't ever talk about the Timeless Child ever again. The BBC is also a company that I think tries to please everyone and ends up pleasing no one. Like, in theory, this would please everyone because people who don't like the twist and all the things that happened in it, like Gallifrey being destroyed, are having that all undone. So it's sort of back to the status quo. And then people who like the twist aren't having it decanonized. But it also benefits no one, because people who like the twist are having everything undone, and people who hate the twist have to live with the fact that it's still canon. It's kind of a lose-lose situation, you know? If anything, I think they should just decanonize it or say that the Master was just a lying bitch. Which also, the Master's motivation doesn't make any sense throughout that entire era. Like, destroying Gallifrey is weird and stupid and makes no sense, and I don't know how he did it, but I kind of get why, kinda? Like, the way he explains it, and how he has a bit of the Doctor in him, so he hates himself and the Time Lords because of that. But then also, then the very next season, he regenerates into the Doctor's body, which is like, why? Why? You've had a tantrum and just destroyed your own people because you're too similar to the Doctor and now you literally want to be them? You're not a Ryan Gosling Sigma. You can't literally be someone else. Moving more to the recent Ncuti Gatwa episodes, there's a lot of times where I've just kind of thought, like, where's the 14th Doctor and what is he doing? Because Rose works at UNIT, so in 73 Yards, when Ruby went to go talk to Kate and UNIT about the woman and about the Doctor disappearing and the TARDIS just being in a field and the Doctor basically being dead, why did she not go, oh, wait a minute, we have a backup? And then, like, the 14th Doctor could, undo that or something. I mean, I assume he was still around, which is why there was no massive catastrophes and the Earth didn't become a shithole in that episode like it did with the Turn Left episode where Donna never met the Doctor and the Doctor died again. Also, when Sutekh showed up, what happened to the 14th Doctor then? Did the 15th one not think, hey, I might need some backup on this, how about the only other Time Lord in existence right now? Maybe they'd be quite helpful? It just makes no sense. I love Ncuti Gatwa's episodes, except for the first two, but I really like the rest of them. But just the lack of explanation about the bi-generation and the fact that they've done fucking nothing with it so far just really rubs me the wrong way. Am I alone in thinking that Clara acts more like the Doctor's wife than River? Like, Clara is scattered all over his personal time stream and has been saving his life since literally before he knew the TARDIS is a thing and was piloting it, and has been there for him every step of the way, and he kind of has been as well, because there was a short where he, met her as a child. The Doctor literally had to forget everything about Clara in order to function on a daily basis without her. Like, River literally fucking wishes. Also, the 9th Doctor fucking hates River in the audio dramas, and since he's my favourite Doctor, that is so funny and so vindicating. I don't think the actress of River has great chemistry with any of the actors of the Doctor, besides maybe Peter Capaldi. She didn't really know who he was for most of the episode, which I did like. I thought that was a nice touch, similar to their first episode where he didn't know who she was. I was kind of hoping that the last episode we see River would be the one where we first met her. That's it, really. I have a lot of opinions about Doctor Who and thought I'd put them on the internet. I like Who culture, but without the budget or chemistry of the people who run it, and that one guy's excellent beard and good lighting or good audio. So I hope you take these opinions to your hearts and travel in your TARDIS with them in mind. And remember, the moral of the story:
Titties.